fruits or anything because they need to be stored for a time.
Okay.
And we appreciate you donating. Now, coming up on tomorrow's Live at 5, we'll have a special show to get you in the holiday spirit.
That's right. On Wednesday, the Festival of Trees begins at the Convention Center. We will have live coverage from the event. Ed Wilson and Gary Amble will be there. Join us for that.
Time now for Nightly News. Have a good day.
Good night.
Senator Orrin Hatch, his ringing defense of BCCI. What was in it for him? Federal investigators want to find out.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw. Reporting tonight from NBC News headquarters in New York.
Good evening. BCCI, the Bank of Credit and Commerce International. It is already the biggest banking scandal of the decade, maybe the biggest of the century. And tonight, a new name. Senator Orrin Hatch, the Utah Republican who played such a prominent role in the Clarence Thomas hearings. What is his connection? NBC's Brian Ross.
Last year, after the arrest of some of BCCI's top bankers for laundering millions in Colombian drug money and a guilty plea from the bank itself, there were calls in Washington to shut the bank down, throw BCCI out of the country.
Madam President,
But on the floor of the United States Senate, one man stood up to defend BCCI, Senator Orrin Hatch of Utah.
I regret there have been some calls to put BCCI out of business in this country.
It now turns out that Senator Hatch's speech, in which he said it was not in the national interest to single out BCCI for harsh treatment, was based on these documents, a kind of rough draft put together for Hatch by BCCI's own lawyers, and included generous praise for BCCI top management.
And I commend the senior management, directors, and shareholders of BCCI for the responsible way that particular company has responded to the charges in these proceedings.
The BCCI management Senator Hatch was so eager to praise is the very management now accused of having pulled off the biggest bank fraud in world history.
You commended
BCCI. Of course it's an embarrassment. Of course it is, in the sense of the last paragraph where I praised the management of BCCI with what I know today, but I didn't know that then. Sure, it's an embarrassment.
Hatch says he is friends with top BCCI lawyer Robert Altman and his actress wife Linda Carter, and that it was Altman and two other BCCI lawyers who came to him with the draft of the BCCI speech. Altman himself is now under criminal investigation for his role in the BCCI scandal.
But you relied on BCCI's lawyers to find out what BCCI was doing?
I've been a friend of Bob Altman's, and I didn't think he would lie to me, and none of them did.
In the speech, you said there was no systemic money laundering at BCCI, and in fact, it's just the opposite. According
Up to that point, there was no known systemic money laundering, and it was represented to me by them that that's true.
Hatch says there is nothing wrong with what he did for BCCI, and that other than the speech, he had nothing to do with the bank. But investigators in the BCCI case say there may be more to Hatch's relationship with BCCI than just friendship with bank lawyer Robert Altman. Hatch has acknowledged meeting several times with the man buried in this courtyard tomb in Beirut, Mohammed Hammoud, who investigators say, until his mysterious death last year, was at the center of BCCI corruption. Hatch says the meetings with Hammoud had to do with Lebanese politics, not BCCI. Investigators also are taking a close look at Hatch's relationship with this Houston businessman, Munzer Hourani, involved with Hatch in a real estate investment in Houston. Hourani says Hatch offered to help him get money from BCCI. But Hatch says he did not know either man had anything to do with BCCI until an article in a Washington magazine appeared last year.
Did either one of them ever raise BCCI with you at any point?
Neither one.
Following the criminal action against BCCI?
First time I ever heard about BCCI with regard to Hammoud or Hourani was when the Regardi's article came out. That was the first time.
But in Houston yesterday, Hourani told Mark Hosenball of NBC News that, in fact, Hatch had offered to help him get money from BCCI 2 years ago.
One time I discussed BCCI with Senator Hatch.
Did he have any thoughts about BCCI?
Yes, he said, you know, he knows some people there. Maybe he will give them a good recommendation about me.
Law enforcement officials in the BCCI case have told NBC News they are now checking the finances of Hatch and asking former bank insiders about Hatch. Senator Hatch says he has nothing to hide. Brian Ross, NBC News, Washington.
More jarring news for the national economy tonight. IBM will cut 20,000 jobs next year. That's part of a massive restructuring to deal with a grim business climate. And there is no better news tonight for the nation's retailers on the eve of the crucial holiday shopping season. The Conference Board, a research organization, said the Consumer Confidence Index is off 9 points in a month, 30% in the last 2 months. NBC's chief economics correspondent is Irving R. Levine.
It's anxiety about jobs and about paying bills that has sent confidence plummeting. At this New York garment factory,
we're currently experiencing a disastrous retail climate. And we've seen it softening over the last couple of months.
Among people like Tim Kyle, fired from an electronics firm, trying to make ends meet as an office temp, while fruitlessly looking for full-time work.
You don't hear a call, you don't hear a telephone call, you don't get a letter. You call back and they don't even know who you are.
Confidence being undermined by the continuing slump in the U.S. economy. Example, a 9% increase in the number of Americans so far behind on mortgage payments they could lose their homes, all of which contributes to concern among consumers.
I don't spend as much money. I ask myself, do I really need it before I buy anything? And I'm just not spending as much.
As portrayed by cartoonist Rob Rogers, the drop in consumer confidence creates a sense of desperation among the nation's merchants. At the very time that retailers are preparing for the crucial Christmas selling season, the Conference Board survey shows confidence below the lowest reading of the 1982 recession. The Bush administration urges patience.
I think long run we'll see jobs being built, primarily by the small, newer companies. We have greater quality goods and we're exporting more than we ever have before.
While the administration is urging patience, the immediate problem is the Christmas selling season. If it flops, it will mean more layoffs, and that in turn could further diminish confidence. Irving R. Levine, NBC News, Washington.
And of course, this is also an important time for the travel industry. Thanksgiving is traditionally the busiest travel time of the year, but this year, it's a turkey. NBC's Robert Hager.
In Maryland, Emmett Sims will save money this Thanksgiving by staying home.
I'm going to stay pretty well in the community, where ordinarily I'd probably go to North Carolina.
Thelma Lawford's staying home, too.
My husband got laid off in February and hasn't worked since, so we just kind of don't go anywhere much.
AAA, the American Automobile Association, says the recession will cut deeply into travel this Thanksgiving holiday. In spite of gasoline that's 22 cents a gallon cheaper than last year on average, the association's annual survey of travel plans indicates 4% fewer cars will be on the road this Thanksgiving compared to last. 1 million fewer auto travelers, the first decrease in Thanksgiving traffic in the half-dozen years AAA has been doing the survey. With more than 19 million cars still on the road, there may be traffic jams, but that's still fewer cars than for any Thanksgiving since the early 1980s. Air travel is also forecast to be far from robust, only a slight increase of 1% to 2% over last Thanksgiving, which was much lighter than a normal holiday. So far this year, most airlines have not seen the necessity of adding the extra holiday flights they normally do. Some are offering deep discounts to fill empty seats from Thursday through Saturday when travel is lightest.
Generally, when times are tough for the airline industry, they tend to be good for the auto travel industry. So when you're seeing a depression both in the air industry and in the auto industry, that's tough times.
One theory is that some of the slack in this holiday's traffic may be made up at Christmas time, that some financially pinched families may be planning only one major holiday get-together this year rather than two, and postponing that until Christmas. Robert Hager, NBC News, Washington.
When Nightly News continues in a moment, President Bush has new troubles with Congress from members of his own party. And on tonight's What Works, Deborah Roberts on innovative teaching ideas that get children started in the process of learning.
You'd rather walk than drive an American car. You think no American car can match the quality of an import. You figure if it isn't foreign, it isn't for you. You wouldn't give an American car the time of day. Well, in case you haven't noticed, times have changed. Introducing the new Skylark. This is the Buick that's going to change a lot of impressions about Buick.
You know Quaker Oats makes you feel good twice. First when you eat it. Pure oats and it's piping hot. Then you feel good again, because it stays with you and helps keep you rolling all morning. Quaker Oats, it's the right thing to do.
By noon, her fever was climbing, and now she has a hacking cough and a raw, sore throat. Kate Porter has the flu. She needs TheraFlu, soothing hot liquid relief to ease flu symptoms fast. TheraFlu, your flu misery stops here.
As Congress rushes toward adjournment tonight, there's new political sniping between Capitol Hill and the White House. The president this time is under fire from fellow Republicans. BC's Andrea Mitchell is at the Capitol tonight. John Cochran at the White House. Andrea, we'll begin with you.
Tom, Republicans in both houses are in open rebellion against the president's decision to let Congress go home and do nothing about the economy until next year.
Limping toward adjournment, it sometimes seemed as though the inmates were taking over the asylum.
Because the night before recess and all through the land, the economy was stagnant, employees were canned.
Once again, no food fights permitted today in the House.
There was everything but food fights. Republicans argued that Congress shouldn't quit until it passes tax cuts, even though the president had said wait until the State of the Union.
I think for a long time, frankly, the president and his staff hoped the economy would recover.
I do not want to go back to Pennsylvania and have my constituents say, why don't you men and women in the Congress do something constructive?
Housing Secretary Jack Kemp, a rebel with a cause, also wants tax cuts now. At a Finance Committee hearing, he upstaged everyone by just showing up.
I'm not sure anyone but President Kemp will be on the 6:30 news.
Thank you.
Having been chewed out by the White House for his heresy, he promised to behave today.
I don't speak for the administration on tax policy. That's very clear.
But he can't resist taking on the president.
Can he wait until the State of the Union before presenting an economic package?
The hour is late, and 2 months is an eternity if you're out of work, if you're losing your home.
Confusion reigned. Did the president want Congress to come back after Thanksgiving and work on a tax package or not?
We will accommodate the president's desires, but they must be spoken clearly and unequivocally and directly by the president, and he should do so today.
I think the president would like Congress to complete its work and go.
Congress did agree tentatively to a new highway bill that could create 2 million new jobs. It would cost $151 billion. But everything else has been delayed by the tax fight. It could mean returning next month to slug it out. Tom?
Thanks, Andrea. And John Cochran at the White House now. It seems that there is a lot up in the air there as well.
Tom, after last week's indecision and confusion around here, the White House is now trying to portray the president as being firmly in the driver's seat. But that Republican revolt has left an impression of several drivers fighting for the steering wheel.
Late yesterday, Bush met privately with House Republican leaders Michael and Gingrich, who tried to sell their economic growth package. Bush refused to give full backing. But this morning, the White House fretted that news reports would upset conservatives like Gingrich. So Bush's spokesman, Marlin Fitzwater, issued a carefully worded statement that Bush supports their efforts. But the statement did not support the actual proposals. Ah, but wait. After that zig, there was another zag.
I'm for this. I'd like to see it voted on today. There's no point Congress sticking around, in my view.
But, sir, with the economy in trouble, ordinary Americans wonder why not keep them in?
Because they've been here all year long, and the economy's in trouble. That's the answer.
So Bush gave lip service support to House conservatives and hoped that would satisfy them. But Bush is more worried about conservatives outside Congress, especially commentator Pat Buchanan, who will decide next week whether to oppose Bush in the New Hampshire primary.
The president's problems with conservatives are not the making of Pat Buchanan. They are of his own making. He has abandoned terrain which conservatives have occupied for years.
Bush even got in trouble during a teleconference with religious educators. The questions and answers seemed to be spontaneous, but after the cameras were turned off, Bush complained that some of the questions were asked in the wrong order.
These questions, we're getting something's going awry here. I mean, if I just listen to the question, I can answer whatever it is, but if I think it's going to be on here, I don't listen to the question, I just look at that.
Well, rehearsing questions and answers is not a hanging offense, but it is one more embarrassment that the president really did not need. Tom?
Thank you, John. Former CIA official Dewey Clarridge used to be William Casey's point man in helping the Contras. Today, Clarridge was charged with lying to Congress about the CIA role in shipping missiles to Iran.
It is one thing to accelerate from a standing start, quite another at high speed. Infiniti designed the Q45 to do both. With a variable valve timing system so advanced, there is no compromise at any speed. Infiniti has, for the first time, blurred the lines between luxury and performance.
First Contac wrote the book on cold medicine, and now a new chapter, Contac Day and Night. Day caplets for non-drowsy cold relief. Night caplets to relieve your symptoms to let you rest. New Contac Day and Night, a whole new chapter in cold relief.
Searching for the perfect shave? Let Norelco show you what it's like from the inside. Here, there's a system for a close, comfortable shave that exists in no other razor. Our patented lift and cut system lifts the hair so when it's cut, it can actually drop below skin level without the blades even touching your face. So to look better on the surface, remember, Norelco shaves below the surface. Norelco, we make close, comfortable.
Extra Strength Maalox Plus, the strongest antacid there is, now comes in extra strength tablets. Stronger than Tums, stronger than Rolaids. New Extra Strength Maalox Plus, now in tablets.
It's the strongest, and my stomach tells me it's fast.
Our daily difference tonight, what works? How do you get kids fired up about learning? And how do you do that without breaking the budget? It takes, it turns out, an experiment in education. And it just might be what works in Miami, Florida. NBC's Deborah Roberts now.
C-A-T-T. Imagine this, third graders learning to read and write by playing in shaving cream.
Fun. I said it. 2/3 equal 1/5.
And fifth graders learning to add fractions by playing a floor game of dice.
Want to stay out here? Yeah. Okay, we'll stay out here.
At South Point Elementary, one of Dade County's newest public schools, they're gambling that a new idea will prove that kids can actually like learning.
Well, there was one time I got up and I didn't feel good, but I said, I don't feel good, Mom, but I want to go to school.
Lisa is part of a first-time experiment to buy a creative private education with public money. Education Alternative, Inc. of Minnesota, which runs 2 private schools successfully, has been hired by Dade County to help South Point.
We've discovered that the students in our school back home tend to gain, instead of gaining a year's worth of academic skills during a year, they tend to gain about a year and a half or even more every year.
How? More attention for each child. 2 teachers per classroom, including a college grad student paid a small salary, and lots of computers, 170 at South Point. The school gets $2 million from the district, its normal budget. The company has agreed to hold fundraisers to pay itself and cover extra expenses. There are few rules here. No report cards, so children feel more secure about learning. And
It's like one page of homework per night, or just 1 week, and then the next week you don't have homework at all.
children here aren't the only ones getting non-conventional lessons in learning. So are their teachers, who are being retrained to give up some of the power in the classroom.
1 to 6.
Kathleen Robinson no longer tells her active third graders to sit still.
Why not tailor his learning to make him or her do things that would involve activity?
You go. It's too early yet to tell if these kids will outscore traditional elementary school students, but there are positive signs. Deborah Roberts, NBC News, Miami.
On tomorrow's Daily Difference, vital signs. computers to tell when life support systems no longer help the patient recover.
Risk of dying.
You ready? 122.
It was so hot,
Extreme heat has grounded flights here at the airport.
even planes couldn't fly.
Boy, you can fry an egg out there. It's so tasty.
But out at the proving grounds, Oldsmobile was making it even hotter for this engine, putting it through every city driver's worst nightmare. Testing like this has made the 3800 in this Olds 98 one of the most trouble-free V6s sold in America. With 99 models redesigned and engineered, GM is putting quality on the road.
How's your sinus pain when you bend over?
It hurts right in the top part of my nose. I mean, my eyes just ache.
Did you know all these sinus pain formulas have the same medicine?
Is that right? The Sudafed sinus?
They're all the same, but not this.
Dristan sinus? What's different about this?
It's got the modern pain reliever ibuprofen.
I would like to try Dristan sinus. Oh, I feel so much better. I mean, I don't feel any pressure at all. No sinus pain, no drowsiness. This is it, Dristan sinus.
Dristan, the face of relief today.
I was a dedicated beard wearer until my wife gave me the new Remington Microscreen Elite. It's quick. It's close. The Remington Microscreen Elite has 2 ultra-thin screens and 112 diamond-honed cutting edges. The first screen shaves incredibly close. The second even closer. The Remington Microscreen Elite, so comfortable, shaves as close as a blade or your money back. And the Lady Remington, the perfect gift. Shave wet or dry. Super value shavers from Remington.
Before I switched to Fixodent, Jones Peanut Crunchies only looked delicious.
Fixodent and forget it. Fixodent is the strongest holding denture adhesive you can get. It even stands up to the hottest liquids. For the strongest hold, Fixodent and forget it.
Do your holiday shopping with the Discover card, and you'll not only give, you'll receive a cashback bonus for every charge. It pays to Discover.
The largest and oldest U.S. air base overseas was closed today. The American flag was lowered at Clark Air Base in the Philippines for the last time. 5 months after the eruption of Mount Pinatubo turned this base into a wasteland. The flag was first raised there more than 90 years ago. And now for commentary, John Chancellor has been watching that tax dispute in Washington. John?
Tom? Bad day for George Bush. New polls show a serious drop in his popularity. A bad season for George Bush. Half the politicians in Washington are asking him to call for a tax cut to jumpstart the economy. As we saw in the program tonight, Jack Kemp, who sits in the cabinet, says cut taxes. Newt Gingrich, the Republican House Whip, says cut taxes. Some senior Democrats are saying cut taxes. The White House has been cool to all of this, and the president today gave a pro forma endorsement of a tax cut, but he didn't ask the Congress to stick around and work one out. The truth is, the president believes this is the wrong time for a tax cut. Some say a cut might actually prolong the recession. Everybody says a tax cut would increase the deficit. This year, the deficit will cost $1,000 million a day. Every 24 hours, $1,000 million. Cutting revenue would make that worse, but even so, many important people want a tax cut, except the president. And in rejecting that pressure, George Bush is showing a lot of backbone. The economy isn't turning up and his poll ratings are going down, but he's holding firm against the quick fix artists who say cut now and pay later. Mr. Bush is expected to ask for lower taxes next year on his own schedule. By not increasing the country's problems now, he's increasing his own political problems. And that's something you don't see too often in Washington, D.C. Tom?
Thank you, John. And on Wall Street today, a late rally helped the Dow Industrials close higher. Trading today was very heavy.
The power of intelligent engineering is routinely put to the test at Oldsmobile. And here's the result. Of all the Cutlass Ciaras ever sold in the last 10 years, we can say 96% are still on the road. Safely say. Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering.
Available now for $12,695 with Air and V6 engine.
If you're looking for a great vacation, I've got just the place.
In the morning, in the evening, ain't we got fun? Not much money, oh, but honey, ain't we got fun? The food is great here, there's never a bit
Book a 3, 4, or 7-day fun ship vacation on Carnival, the most popular cruise line in the world.
After my heart attack, my doctor prescribed a regimen of exercise, eating right, and Therapy Bear enteric aspirin. Enteric means it's safety coated so it doesn't dissolve till it's past your stomach.
Therapy Bear enteric aspirin.
How can Kmart sell Maybelline Cosmetics at such a low price?
I don't know. Shine-free oil control makeup, great lash mascara, everything's 25% off.
Great. Well, let's see if I can knock 25% off my age. Those chick jeans look great. Thanks, they're proportioned to fit. Do you think I should get another pair a size larger? Why? Well, during the holidays, I need 2 sizes. Before dinner jeans and after dinner jeans.
Let's see if we've won a trip to Disneyland.
I hope you wished upon a star.
It's gone. But it isn't.
My cough drop's gone, but it's still working.
Only new extra-strength Vicks cough drops give you twice the Vicks vapor medicine to relieve your cough and help your scratchy throat and stuffy nose feel better.
Even after it's gone.
The phrase is gated community, and as a Southern California status symbol, it's right up there with unlisted telephone numbers. As NBC's Keith Morrison tells us tonight, the whole idea is to keep people out.
Take a nice drive on a sunny day in the sprawling suburbs of Los Angeles, and you discover that curiosity is not always welcome.
I thought I couldn't let you in here anyways. It's only for residents, construction workers, all guests and stuff.
Exclusion. It's becoming a way of life in the stratified cities of Southern California.
Those who do not live in the community, other than visiting people, don't really have to be in here.
People who build houses here have discovered now that the way to sell them is to put up walls around whole communities and give them nice old-fashioned names with estates or villages in the title.
Let me get your license number, honey.
And down at the gate in a uniform is a kindly man who knows them all and whose job is to keep the rest of the world away.
I think we all have to recognize that the quality of life in the big city has somewhat diminished in the last few years.
It's just a sad shame what's happened to our city.
In fact, Los Angeles is a city of considerable contrasts, some of which diminished tax dollars seem unable to overcome. In the inner city, gangs fight over turf. In the suburbs, the moneyed wall themselves off in gated neverlands.
Now, your association dues are $54 a month, and that's going to include the 2 swimming pools, the 6 tennis courts, and, of course, the guard gate.
Also, better streets, better lighting, and more parks than the city could ever afford. And one reason, naturally, is crime prevention. But
Top one would be, I think, exclusivity. The ability to have something that very few people can have.
How you doing, or could ever hope to see, unless...
Yeah.
What's your company?
Witten Plumbing.
Witten.
Plumbers apparently can get in anywhere.
It's a plumber, or?
Yeah.
You're the plumber. All right.
Keith Morrison, NBC News, Los Angeles.
If you can find them, let them in. That's Nightly News for this Tuesday night. I'm Tom Brokaw. I'll be off for a few days, so have a happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Now you're in trouble. Are we going to go?
Up next on your 24-hour news source team coverage on Prairie Meadows.
If you want to watch horse racing at Prairie Meadows, you're going to have to settle for watching it on television. Live racing has been suspended for 1992. I'm Tom Hauser, and we will have team coverage.
Near Waterloo, an anguished mother reacts to the murder of her 3-year-old son.
City streets in Des Moines are sloppy and things are not going to get much better. Travel to the north is not recommended in some places. I'm Ed Wilson. I'll have a live eye report.
Those stories, plus all the news, just ahead.
Introducing appetizer and dessert shells.
Bend me, shape me, any way you want me. Long as you love me, it's alright. Twist me, bake me, any way you want me. You got a crunchy, crispy delight.
New appetizer and dessert shells bake up so crispy, so easy, so go ahead.
Fill me, drape me, any way you want me.
New new appetizer and dessert shells from Azteca.
Long as you love me, it's all right.
This is about sound. Although everything you see here makes it, we couldn't possibly describe the glorious sound produced by these amplifiers, the precision of this tuner, the power of these speakers, and oh, the magnificence of these compact displayers. All we can do is offer an invitation to listen at Stereo Sound Studios in the Indian Hill Shopping Center, Des Moines, and in Campus Town, Ames. Stereo Sound Studios, where people listen.
This Saturday and Sunday, Super Show Productions presents their annual Antique and Craft Show at the 4-H Building, Iowa State Fairgrounds. Come out and see over 200 exhibitors, a huge variety of Christmas crafts, antiques, and hard-to-find collectibles. Same low admission, plenty of free parking, lots of fun. This is Super Show's biggest event. Don't miss it. The Antique and Craft Show this weekend at the 4-H Building at the Iowa State Fairgrounds. Open Saturday 10 till 6, Sunday 10 till 5. See you there.
This is Dinner Time Chime. Join the Family Counseling Center and TV 13 in ringing in the news during National Family Week. The family works.
You're watching WHO TV 13 Des Moines, your 24-hour news source. And now, John Bachman, Kim Kerrigan, Rick Silvestrini with sports, and meteorologist Gary Amble with tonight's forecast. This is News Center 13 at 6.
$17 million. How could you even think of moving on with this track? I can't imagine. The taxpayers have a right to have this thing solved. The only way you're going...
Polk County Supervisor John Morrow says it's time for a change at Prairie Meadows. Good evening. If you want to take in live horse racing next year, you'll have to leave Iowa to do so.
Live horse racing has been suspended for the 1992 season at Prairie Meadows. However, simulcast racing will continue to be shown at the financially troubled track, at least for now. Team coverage tonight. We begin with News Center 13's Tom Hauser at Prairie Meadows for details on today's action. Tom?
Well, Kim, it actually could have been much worse today. The Polk County Supervisors came within just one vote of shutting this track down completely. But instead, bets will continue to be taken on televised races here until the county figures out a way to refinance the track's debt. If you enjoy live horse racing, take a long look at this picture. It may be the last time you'll see this site in Iowa. For the indefinite future, you'll only be able to put your bets down on simulcast races. That decision was made today by the Polk County Board of Supervisors, despite an effort by Supervisor John Morrow to shut the track down completely. In the confusing world of Prairie Meadows politics, Morrow argues that the only way to save the track is to close it.
If the bond is $3,910,000 to pay off, and you just told me it takes $5,052,000 to keep it open, would somebody in that audience like to step forward and tell me how it's cheaper to keep it open?
Morrow's resolution to close Prairie Meadows while the track's debt is refinanced was rejected. Instead, Supervisor Martha Willits proposed a resolution to keep the track open for simulcasting while the refinancing is worked out. That proposal passed.
But it is not locked in stone. It is for the purpose of refinancing. If that isn't happening, then very quickly that ought to be re-looked at.
Now, the supervisors passed the Willits motion on a 3-2 vote. Those voting for the motion wanted to save the 43 jobs here at Prairie Meadows, but it's just a short-term fix. The supervisors say they'll only agree to finance the simulcasting for a maximum of 6 months. So there's still a big cloud hanging over Prairie Meadows, Kim.
Thank you, Tom, very much. Here's a recap of the action taken by the Board of Supervisors today. They voted to suspend live racing in 1982. Instead, they will give the track $100,000 a month for a maximum of 6 months to fund simulcast racing. In the meantime, the county will negotiate with bondholders to reduce the track's debt.
The supervisor's decision comes as no surprise to those who depend on Prairie Meadows for their livelihood. But as Scott Pope reports, the vote today will force hundreds of them to look for work elsewhere.
For the track's 43 full-time employees, the supervisor's decision hurts. But they agree it was the best they could hope for. Simulcasting keeps them on the payroll for a few months longer.
This is, just another bullet fired at the employees. And, I think we've withstood this, and I think we all believe in the project and want to see it succeed.
It's not a good situation because we always have another deadline, and these are good employees.
they can find jobs someplace else.
But the suspension of live racing will force the trainers to move on. Most of them oppose simulcasting from the start. And ironically, simulcasting is all that's left.
And that means getting rid of your apartment, selling your house, and moving out of town. And once you set up someplace else and you're involved in horse racing in another state, it'd have to be pretty attractive to come back to Prairie Meadows.
As for the owners and breeders, those who stay in business say they'll cut back their operations in hopes the track will reopen in 1993. But most believe the starting gate at Prairie Meadows has opened for the last time. Scott Pope, News Center 13.
By the way, Prairie Meadows officials have called a special meeting of the executive board for tomorrow to discuss today's actions by the county supervisors. An autopsy today shows a 3-year-old Evansdale boy found stuffed in a picnic cooler died when his throat was cut. Police believe the mother's boyfriend went out of control while punishing the child. The boy's mother was led away screaming as police told her what had happened. Darren Gerdeman had also been shot in the head. His body was found in the basement of the family home yesterday. Police arrested the mother's boyfriend after learning that he had punished Darren earlier. 21-year-old Gary Buck remains held tonight on $1 million bond. Police have arrested an Ankeny couple and charged them with child endangerment. Authorities searched 4 days for 23-year-old Laura Adler Tidball and her husband Jeffrey. The two are accused of abusing the woman's 2-year-old daughter, who was treated for adult bite marks on her body. The child's natural father, Jerry Adler, met with juvenile authorities today in hopes of getting custody of his daughter. Adler says the past few days have been a nightmare.
I didn't really know what to do. I just felt like my hands was tied. There wasn't nothing I could do but sit and wait.
A custody hearing is set for next week. For now, the child remains in a foster home.
Mother Nature continues to send us some gloomy weather. There is some good news, however. Much of the weekend snow is melting off thanks to today's rain. Driving has improved, but it's still a little sloppy on many of the streets. And the folks that live on the 3600 block of Southeast 11th in Des Moines are happy to see the rain. This is the first day this week their street has been clear enough to allow postal carriers to deliver the mail. Now, that's when it's bad because they make it on just about anything.
They would have brought a lot of mail today, too.
Yeah, you bet. Everyone holding their breath, waiting to see what Mother Nature is planning next.
Let's go to meteorologist Gary Amble in the Weather Center for an update. Gary?
Well, again, a big travel weekend right now, and temperatures actually are holding fairly well across the state. Only the northern third of Iowa reporting temperatures at 32 or below. So this is the kind of picture we can paint for you across the Midwest for travelers. If you're traveling to the north, you could run into some problems. Again, about the northern 1/3 of the state is where the slippery roads are right now. Because of this now, advisories have been posted in the area shaded yellow in the northwest part of the state. Freezing rain advisory this evening and winter weather advisories tonight across north central and northeast Iowa. We're up to 2, possibly even 3 inches of snow could fall within the next few hours within that area. We have Ed Wilson out in central Iowa now. Ed, it's 37 degrees in Des Moines. What do the streets look like from your vantage point?
Gary, very, very sloppy out here, and you'll see right down this street, which is East 5th Street. We're right at the corner of East 5th and Locust. The sloppy conditions are out here, and it looks like they will continue with warm temperatures coming up for tomorrow. Now, the rest of the state is seeing some less than favorable travel conditions, especially to the north of us. 100% snow and ice covered roads can be found on North I-35 and North I-380. They will be seeing hazardous conditions tonight, especially with that extra snow you're talking about. And right here, as we speak, we're getting a little bit of drizzle here, and that will help to slop things up just a little bit. John and Kim.
Okay. All right, thanks. We have to hope it just stays warm.
Yep.
Still ahead on your 24-hour news source, an update on the murder trial of a Derby teenager.
And after an incident at a Des Moines convenience store, the Marion County attorney checks into an alcohol treatment program.
Also, Noreen Gosh speaks out after her face-to-face encounter with Paul Vanassi. I'm Jim Strickland. News Center 13 at 6 continues after this.
When Charles Gabus speaks, people listen. When Charles Gabus prices cars and trucks, people buy. This week's specials include 15 new Festivas as low as $46.50. Yes, Charles Gabus price only $46.50. Or choose from over 60 Ranger XLTs. Charles Gabus said price them as low as $74.74. Stereo cassette, chrome bumper, sliding rear window, and much more. Only $74.74. All must go. Save thousands today at Charles Gabus Ford, the big store.
Christmas memories, a newfound toy, a gift come true. The
Friday, when your Christmas purchases total over $50 at Merle Hay Mall, a $30 poinsettia plant is yours for just $5. Christmas memories begin at Merle Hay Mall.
Christmas memories.
I'm expecting, my wife's expecting, we're expecting a baby. On top of that, I've got a business to run. I need to manage my time better, so I got some help from US West.
Hello?
Okay, honey, from the top. You can reach me on my cellular.
Uh-huh.
Second line.
Mm-hmm.
Pager.
Uh-huh.
US West voice messaging.
Yes.
Did I tell you I'm in the yellow pages?
I know.
Should we run through this again?
Maybe when you call back in 20 minutes.
All these time savers from US West are great. I'm taking care of everything. It's time. It's time. Payphone. Car. Honey. Yeah, I'll meet you there. Just keep breathing. Is it a boy? Is it a girl? It was the pizza.
US West, making the most of your time.
Be a part of the News Center 13 team. Call our News Hawk hotline at 282-TV13 if you see news happen or capture an event on videotape.
Tonight, Noreen Gosh expressing pity for the man who claims to have helped kidnap her son.
After a face-to-face meeting with convicted sex offender Paul Benassi, Mrs. Gosh says she will ask that he be given immunity if he can help catch those who plotted to kidnap Johnny Gosh. News Center 13's Jim Strickland was there for the jailhouse meeting between Benassi and Noreen Gosh, and he's here to preview tonight's conclusion of his series, I Took Johnny Gosh. Jim?
John, Noreen Gosh says after 9 years of searching for her son, she felt she had to meet with Benassi because she says he may be the only one telling the truth.
No, I'm more